Welcome! As you know, me and Amy are getting ready to install a new KitchenAid dishwasher. So as part of checking things out, I noticed a problem. And one of them is with the inlet valve. It's one of these push-pull things. It's a valve all right, but it has a crimped on tube that keeps me from using this guy. Yes, I cannot use this guy because this has a crimp. And I wanted to get one of these guys. Looks a little bit like that right there. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I did to get this guy off and get this guy on. And then we're going to do a video on the dishwasher to show overall what's going on with that. So let's get started. Okay, so before I even get started removing the existing dishwasher, I need to make sure that we get the plumbing out of the way first. And I noticed something really horrible with what the builder did to this house, so I want to show this to you. This is the drain line from the dishwasher, so we just need a way to get it disconnected. And this is the inlet, the hot water supply to the dishwasher. We're going to see this little guy. I've never seen one before. This might be called a FlowTite or something like that. It's a push-pull valve. So ideally, you just pull it and it's in an open position, and then this crimped on hose has water. And then when you want to change out a dishwasher or you got a flood, you tap on it and it closes it, and then it shuts off the supply. The problem is these things don't have a good reputation. They're very cheap. Builders like them. And it's also a crimp on, using what some people refer to as knives to dig into the existing line right here. So I want to change it out with something like this, which will be a little bit of work, and nobody really likes taking these things apart. This will be what we're going to do. This guy is made for CPVC. So instead of using something like shark bites, which is another form of a compression, we're just going to go ahead and use this stuff to basically cement it in. This is a 2-in-1 product. We don't use the primer. This is pretty much what they've been using on this house, and this was recommended at the big box store I went to. This plumber guy hated the purple stuff. He likes this stuff a lot better. So we'll see how it works. The first thing we had to do was shut off the main water line to this house and drain as much water as we can. So I did that by opening up a basement valve, sink down in the basement for one of the bathrooms. And right now it looks like we're good to go. So let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to do here is we're just going to go ahead and cut this existing line. I don't like it because it's crimped, which means you can never change it out. So if it never goes bad, great. We got a little paint pan under here to try to catch any water that might leak. Okay, got one cut into it. Yeah, let's... sort of coming along. The good news is no water's coming out. Yeah, well, let's do that. All right. Destruction Derby's on. Let's go for that death cut right here. Doink. All right, he's done. And no water coming out, yay. So right now, this inlet hose is toast. Let's get that out of my way. You're supposed to be able to pull on these things and spin them like counterclockwise or clockwise, one of the two. Let's put this other hose out of the way. Not getting any love going clockwise. It just wants to spin. I know plumbers that have done this before know what they're doing, but a lot of people hate this process. So even if I did it the right way, I don't feel I'm getting any. Oops. Are we? Getting something. Otherwise, you just use a Dremel tool, hacksaw, PVC cutters, whatever works for you. Me, we're going counterclockwise, and it's off. Yay. Ugh. So that's what the inside of one of these things looks like. I told this thing's a push-pull thingy, so you can push in, click, and then maybe you can pull, makes another click. So it probably worked okay, but it's old, and I really hate that crimp right there. See that? I can't change the hose out if I want, so it's got to go. We just have a little bit of gray discoloring, minor scratches here, so I'll probably just cut this off. I'm hoping that this guy here doesn't mess things up. He's got little teeth, so we're just going to go ahead and use these. If the tin snips did their jobs, hopefully the needle nose can pull it off with not no damage to this. I like that clicking. And doink, he's off somewhere. It feels relatively smooth except right here, so right, you kind of hear that rough noise. So that's probably a bad area. I mean, I could take sandpaper and smooth that out a little bit, but I don't want to risk any leaks. So we're going to go ahead and cut this bad boy right in that area. All right, I've got one of these. It's probably too blown up in this picture. This is a cutter for PVC piping, plastic piping, CPVC, poly, all that good stuff. Doesn't go through metal, but it works good on plastic. So this guy, we're going to use him to snap off this bad part, if it'll let me. Sometimes you can use a specialty part for confined areas. Or use a cutter that's not so humongous. Oops, got a little bit of water. Let's go ahead and get that. We have a nice square cut, so now we can put my get the next connector going on this. All right, I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of sandpaper real quickly. This is like a very fine, like 320 grit. Just minor, roughed up a little bit. Don't have any really bad scratches or anything here, so that's good. Wipe any of that off. put an extension on this guy to give me a little more room to work with. So I just want to test my fitting, make sure he goes on. He goes on nice and smooth. So that's good. We're going to be adding just a couple inches on this guy. So we're putting a little bit on the inside, a little bit on the outside. Work. And then we're just going to go ahead and get this in there. Tight. Normally you want to hold things for 30 seconds. Make sure things don't pop out. Doesn't take too much. It only goes in maybe half an inch, if that, so you don't need to really do too much, but you just need to go all the way around. It's on here. Just go ahead and hold it on there, some good force, about 30 seconds or so. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit more of this gold stuff. And then you just want to orient this where you want it to be. So we're going So we're going to put a little pressure on there. I have the compression, the 3/8" compression connector fitting part facing outward towards me, because I figure it's probably a little easier to connect than having it face up, down, or even away. That's just personal, whatever room you have to work with. So once again, we're going to hold this in for about 30 seconds. Make sure it doesn't try to push out. This basically concludes changing out this push-pull inlet valve and replacing it with a brass craft similar valve in terms of its 1/2 inch in, except this is using PVC with the cement versus using these crimp-on crazy things. SharkBite is another common brand these days that does something similar, that it bites into the pipe and holds it really good. No cement, nothing needed, really easy to work with. But I prefer to go with the cement method here. So I think we're good here. So now we can continue with the rest of the install. At this point, I can turn the house water on, so that way we can do other things. When I first looked at the plumbing, because we just bought this house and I'm not familiar with it, and I saw this valve here, I had no idea that it was in fact a valve. In fact, it says pull to close. And that's how these things operate. You just pull and you push, pull. So now it's closed. So it should turn the water off, and push it, which should then open it. Then water should go through there. I wasn't familiar with it, and I've read a couple bad things on the internet about these things. They're very cheap. Home builders love to use these because they're cheap, maybe because they're fast to install, who knows. But I'm a little old school. I like things welded. I like things soldered, whatever. If I don't have to use compression, I won't. And I didn't know how these things work. And second of all, I can't change the line out on this thing. That really bothers me. So even if it does work, I'm stuck with that. So that's why people, when they remodel their bathrooms, kitchens, whatever, a lot of times they'll change those out because maybe they want to change the hose and they can't. So they need a way to get these things out. But you don't want to mess up the existing plumbing. So taking these things out carefully, not to flood your house, is very important. So we'll show you what I did, and I think it's a good repair so far, and it'll make the dishwasher install go a little bit easier.